Hey everyone, it's JustJoosh here, and today I wanted to take some time to follow up on my last video that I made in this series where I talked about all of the different games that I played throughout January of this year, and today I wanted to continue on with that cycle and talk about all of the different games that I am playing this month in February. So yeah, no, I've been pretty consistent with keeping up with some of the games that I've been playing before. If you saw my video back in January, you are familiar with some of the games that I was playing there. I didn't get a chance to finish a lot of those games, so a lot of those games did carry over into February, and I hate to say, spoiler alert, I didn't finish many more of those games, so there's probably going to be some crossover all the way into March as well. That being said, I did manage to stick to my one main goal. If you remember my last video, you know what that is. Otherwise, we'll talk about it, of course, when we get to it. But other than that, I just kind of wanted to jump right in and talk about some of the games that I've been playing this month. So, first and foremost, I want to start off talking about a game that I started playing last month, carried over into this month, and will likely carry over into March as well, and that is Animal Crossing New Horizons. With Animal Crossing, I started playing it again for the first time since 2020, last month, and that has been such a blast to revisit. Getting a chance to see all of those villagers again, participate in those classic Animal Crossing activities, building out a new town, it's been really rewarding for me, and I've been enjoying my time with that game a lot. I played it quite a bit this month as well, but I definitely think that I played it more last month because of the 3.0 update. Its content was a little bit more fresh, and I've noticed this month that I've been sort of slowing down. I'm not playing it like every day. There are definitely some times when I'll go 2 or 3 days kind of with taking a break, and I'll go back to my island. Then I have a bunch of, crap that I gotta clean up. All of the weeds and stuff that are now hanging around, which is kind of annoying, but, it's just a part of how it is with Animal Crossing. But yeah, so I've still been playing it quite a bit, and I'm still enjoying my time with it. I definitely think that I am beginning to slow down a little bit, like I said, because I've been finishing up a lot of those, the new content that was added in the 3.0 update. And so because of that, a lot of the activities in the game just kind of have started to become a little bit routine, and there are some things that break up the monotony of everything now and then with some special event days and reaching some new milestones for your town and stuff like that. But this has always been kind of my problem with Animal Crossing. I'll play it very consistently for probably about like a 2 or 3 month period, and then I'll kind of fall off, be less engaged with the game. But I'm really hoping to stick with it for a little bit longer this time, play it still on occasion. We'll see if that does keep up, but yeah, this still remains a fun game. I'm very glad that I've revisited and got a chance to explore some of the new content that's been added to the game since I first played it. So yeah, revisiting that game has proven to be a great experience. Next, I wanted to talk about Pokemon Legends ZA. This is another game that is carried over from my last video. I started playing it in January, finally got around to playing this game. It was released I think in October, but I was a little bit late to picking it up. I'm very glad that I did decide to do so though, because I've actually been really enjoying my time with this one. The more that I sink my teeth into it, the more I appreciate the open world and the new gameplay elements that this game has added. I will still say that, I don't think it's perfect by any means. I think that whatever comes next in the Pokemon franchise is going to be a huge improvement over this. We just got the recent announcement for Pokemon Winds and Waves, so I'm very excited to see what is coming up for the future of Pokemon. But I mean, if it is anything comparable to the quality of this game, I think that the Pokemon Company is headed in a good direction for this franchise. But yeah, just spending a little bit more time with ZA, I've really come to appreciate all of the new Mega Evolutions that they've added. Bringing back that mechanic is something that I really appreciate about this game, just because I was such a fan of Mega Evolution when it was first introduced back in Pokemon X and Y. Unfortunately, I still think that I have a decent amount of time to go in terms of finishing this game, but I'm working on it. We're slowly getting there. So I think my main goal going into next month will just be to finish Pokemon Legends ZA. That's probably going to be the game that I aim to spend the most amount of time with next month, just so that way I can for sure kind of, scratch it off the list say that, I've got it finished. I am interested in getting the Mega Dimensions DLC as well. I'm pretty sure that DLC has already been released. I'm definitely considering picking that up because, I know that it introduces this Raichu Mega Evolution line, which I think is awesome because I love Raichu and Pikachu. Those are some of my favorite Pokemon. Very glad that Raichu has finally received a Mega Evolution. A part of me is kind of surprised that it took them this long to actually do it and that it wasn't done in the original games as well. And I think that, the addition of extra content for this game, I think might be worthwhile because I have been enjoying it so much. I'm not entirely sure if anyone who is watching this video has played the DLC for Legends ZA. Please let me know if you enjoyed it, if you thought it was worth your time. Just so that way I have a little bit of a better understanding of what I might be getting myself into before I buy it. Because, that is a pretty pricey bit of DLC there. So I want to make sure that I'm getting my money's worth. Alright, anyways, that is enough for Legends ZA. Again, I don't have too much to say about that one because that was sort of a crossover from my what games I've been playing last month. So now I would like to talk a little bit more about some new games, some things that weren't crossovers from January. And the main game that I played on Nintendo Switch that was new for this month is Kirby Air Riders. I knew at some point this month I was going to invite some people over to play some games, and when that was happening, one of my friends I knew was going to be really interested in Kirby Air Riders, so I started playing the game a little bit in advance just to make sure that I totally didn't get wiped by him because he is super good. Shout out to you, Sam. If you are watching this, you are an absolute gaming legend, my friend. But just to make sure that I didn't totally get my butt handed to me, I had a little bit of time practicing with Air Riders, and I've actually come to enjoy the game quite a bit. I've only played it for a few hours. I think total is like 3-something hours that I've played so far, and it's definitely a game that I want to give a little bit more time. Unfortunately, I still do just like the gameplay loop of Mario Kart a little bit more, so if I am going to pick up a game just to do some casual racing, I am probably more likely to pick up Mario Kart again, especially because I haven't finished all of the content in that game still. So I would like to probably finish up with that before I move into doing some more stuff with Kirby Air Riders, but there is so much that I've yet to experience in this game. The amount of content that is included in it is insane. All of the different game modes, it's, just well beyond what is included in sort of a traditional racer. And the core mechanics of the game are pretty fun. I like the idea that you have, these copy abilities that you can use while you are racing, and the entirety of the racing is sort of done with just like this one button. It makes the controls and the overall gameplay style, it's just like, it's kind of like an example of it being easy to learn but hard to master type of thing. The controls are objectively, pretty straightforward and simple. Everything is sort of mapped to just, 2 buttons that it uses in this game, and really the core racing only has to use, 1 button. But just due to the speed as well as the complexity of the courses and all of the different, mechanics that are present in the game, it actually does become quite difficult to sort of grasp what's going on. I especially found that to be the case when I was playing with multiple people. It became pretty chaotic and at times hard to keep track of what exactly was going on. The game looks gorgeous. A lot of these tracks, they're done with such good detail, whether it's the sort of new versions of the old tracks or the brand new tracks that are added specifically for this game. They are just so insanely nice looking. This is a total graphic showcase for the Nintendo Switch 2, what it is capable of. These levels are phenomenal in terms of their visuals. Sound is also, I think, something that this game does extremely well. All of its soundtrack, of course, the original Kirby Air Riders soundtrack is quite iconic as well, but this new one, I think, has some tracks that can totally rival some of what was included in the original game. In particular, I love the main menu theme. I think it is so hype, and it just gets me excited to play every time that I play it. Obviously, the UI in the main menu, it takes a lot of cues from Super Smash Bros., and the theme song, I think, does take some similar cues as well from what Sakurai learned from making those games. And yeah, just those little touches really makes this product feel a lot more complete. What otherwise might be considered, a pretty standard Kirby spin-off game Sakurai does sort of take it to that next level by really just including all of this, amazing content and making sure that all of those little details are taken in and, they're accounted for. It really culminates in a fantastic game that I've been having such a fun time playing. And I would like to play a lot more in the future. We'll have to see if I can fit in the time for it, though. Things are getting, busy these days. We'll have to see how things go. So, just like last time, we are going to sort of take it console by console at a time. So, that was everything that I've been playing on my Switch 2, which is, I think, that's still the console that I've been spending the most amount of time on overall lately. But actually, in these last few weeks, I've been spending a lot of time on my PS5 trying to finish these 2 games that I'm gonna talk about right now. Okay, so the first PlayStation game that I want to talk about this month is Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. I touched on this game quite a bit last month as well. I had a really long segment talking about it actually, but I did have a lot to say because I was pretty deep in the game at that point, and I've just sort of rounded it out recently, about a week or so ago, just finishing up the main storyline, and wow, I like this game even more now than I did when I was making my video about it last month. The final part of the game, I think, really does it a lot of credit. The ending is so, it's so good. It definitely has a sort of bittersweet quality to it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of something like, Lord of the Rings or something like that, where it's like, oh, we managed to win this war, but, kind of at what cost? Like, take a look at what, it's done to Frodo's mental health in his life. It definitely has a similar sort of quality to that in this game, where, sure, there might be a victory at the end, but is it really that much of a victory when, there are a lot of characters who are left, in difficult situations? We'll say that at the very least. For the end of this game. But yeah, no, the ending, it's in many ways very tragic. It tugged at my heartstrings a lot of the time, but it was a great conclusion to what really was this vast, epic journey. The final boss, I won't show any footage of it because I don't want it to be, spoilers or anything like that, but I really thought the final boss was quite cool. In the final, sort of segments of the game, sort of saw you going to these really interesting areas and participating in these really cool battles. I really like that. And really everything that I said in my last video still applies to this one. The story, the characters, the voice acting, the graphics, the gameplay, it's all super solid. It remained difficult right up until the very end. I had to do quite a bit of grinding in the sort of final chapter just to make sure that I could get through some of those more tough battles, especially some of the optional battles going into the final chapter. Some of those are quite difficult to complete, but very rewarding if you do them. And yeah, it carries on kind of with its social commentary about power and what it means to be someone who wields power. It talks about that all the way up until its very end. I really liked how it sort of started off talking a lot about different social classes and the difference between being born of a low class versus being born of a high class, and that sort of slowly shifted and transitioned into just talk about power more generally. Power within the church was a big theme as well. So yeah, upon finishing this game, I can totally see why some people will say this game's name right in the same breath as other games like Final Fantasy 6, 7, 10, 9, a lot of those legendary Final Fantasies, because it is totally of that quality. Now, for me personally, I do think that I like some of those more mainline Final Fantasies a bit more than this one, which I find kind of to be a shame because I am a fan of tactical JRPGs, but I do think that those games are definitely of a little bit more quality, but I can totally understand why somebody would say that this game is, totally up there as one of those games. And I do have to say, if you are a Final Fantasy fan and you haven't played this game yet, I would totally recommend it. It's such a unique take on the Final Fantasy sort of franchise. It incorporates a lot of those elements that we, associate commonly with Final Fantasy, but it does so in such a unique way when you combine that franchise's sort of story and tropes, and you put it in a tactical JRPG setting. It's really interesting. Another thing that I realized when I was finishing this game up is, I think a part of the reason why I like it as much as I do is because it's kind of like Berserk. I think it does take a lot of cues from Berserk in the sense that, and there are some minor story spoilers here, so if you don't want to hear about this, skip ahead a few seconds, and then hopefully that will be past. But yeah, there are characters in this game's story that are like start off as human characters, but through the power of these like magical objects, they turn into demonic-like creatures, which is of course very similar to what happens in Berserk. You know, the apostles, they are like humans, but through the power of the Bayolet, they can turn into those demons. It's a similar thing in this game. So yeah, if you are a fan of Berserk, I would definitely recommend, checking out this game, because it does not only have a lot of similar themes, but you also are fighting a lot of, similar enemies in that sense as well. So yeah, to my friends Josh and Thomas as well, if you guys have any interest in playing this game, I would totally recommend it, because yeah, this might actually kind of in a way be the best Berserk game that we've gotten. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I would totally recommend it if you are interested in it. If it seems like the type of game that you would enjoy, then yeah, there's a pretty good chance that you will enjoy it, because overall, it's super high quality, great game. Okay, and last, I know last month I said that I was going to spend a little bit more time playing Death Stranding. Unfortunately, I did sort of have no other choice but to leave that game on the back burner, because I started playing a different game in its stead, and I have been having so much fun revisiting it that, I hate to say Death Stranding, I don't even care. Sorry, buddy, we'll maybe circle back around to you maybe in March or April. We'll see what's going on at the time. Anyways, the game that I am talking about is a game that I played for the first time last year. It is considered a horror game masterpiece. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was compelled, because in my restless dreams I saw the image of a particular town known as Silent Hill. More specifically, of course, I've been playing Silent Hill 2. It's the remake of the original PlayStation 2 game. The remake is done by Blooper Team. It is of an extremely high quality. Like I mentioned, I played it for the first time last year, and I had so much fun going through it. Although maybe fun isn't perhaps the best word, because a lot of my time playing the game was spent pausing, because I was just basically so scared going through some of these areas. It is honestly, it's a really scary game, but it's also super rewarding to work your way through. For those who aren't familiar, Silent Hill 2, you play as a character named James Sunderland. He basically goes back to the town of Silent Hill. It's this town that he used to visit with his wife Mary. However, Mary a few years ago passed away, and he hasn't been back to the town since, but suddenly out of nowhere, James gets this letter from Mary, his dead wife, so something going on there, and he's basically called back to this town to basically see what the heck is going on. And what ensues is basically this town turning into basically a form of hell around him as he enters this world of chaos and monsters. It is super creepy, but also super fun to explore. There's this whole mystery throughout a lot of the game as well, where you are left wondering what exactly is going on in the storyline. So yeah, going through the game, and you sort of get a little bit more contextual information about what's going on before there's, this ultimate big reveal towards the end of the game that I do think is truly one of the biggest, shocking moments in video game history, and really helps to solidify this narrative as being one of the best, horror narratives ever told. I don't even think necessarily just a horror narrative in a video game, just in general. It's a storytelling masterpiece. It is so good. And that's honestly one thing that I've really enjoyed about revisiting this game a lot, is that if you are familiar with the story and the twist that comes at the end, as you are playing the game, you can sort of notice that there are a lot more hints about what's really going on in the story, if you are just, paying attention and you have that contextual information. So playing through this game this time, I've had a lot more of an appreciation for not just the story, but also a lot of the environmental sort of storytelling that the developers put into the game. And yeah, even though I've played this game before, it is still, super terrifying to me. There are some sections in this game that really just give me the, the heebie-jeebies. In particular, the prison area and the labyrinth area, where everything is all, super dark and dingy, and, there are creatures that like to crawl on the ceiling and jump out and attack you. I don't handle those areas particularly well. I remember during my first playthrough, I was really scared of them, and I dread it kind of going back through those areas during my second playthrough. And yet, they are definitely still scary, but those are honestly some of the sections of the game that I remember enjoying the most just because of how scary they actually are. One thing that I will say is great about playing this game through the second time is that the game gives you this like chainsaw, and that allows you to rip your way through most of the enemies in just like one hit. So you are using up a lot less resources in your second playthrough than your first playthrough, which does to an extent make the game a fair bit easier. And it's also really interesting to get a chance to revisit the game because the story does have multiple endings. In fact, I think there's something like 8 different endings that are possible to get in this game. Some of them are joke, sort of like meme endings, but a lot of them can be considered, serious, proper, legitimate endings to the game as well. So it's interesting to sort of revisit the game knowing what you have to do in order to get certain outcomes and, getting a chance to see a different ending to the narrative. So yeah, I've been really enjoying revisiting this one. I could talk definitely a lot more about it, and I am actually planning on making a separate dedicated video to Silent Hill 2 and its remake, and that is something that I hope to have out sort of towards the end of this month. We'll see how that goes, if I can stick to that schedule or not. But because I am making a full dedicated video talking about more of my thoughts on it and its story, I don't want to talk any more about it here. So yeah, those are all of the games that I played in February. The list is, I think, a little bit smaller than it was last month, and I definitely didn't get as much time to spend with a lot of these games as I maybe would have liked to, especially for, a lot of the Switch ones. But hopefully moving into this month, when I've finished up playing Silent Hill 2 for the sake of the video, and I've now finished Final Fantasy Tactics, I'll have a lot more time on my hand to work my way through some of those games. In particular, I'm looking forward to finishing up Pokemon Legends ZA just because I've been having so much fun with it so far. I want to just have a proper opportunity where I'm going to, sink my teeth into it. There is, of course, Pokemon Pokopia coming out next month, and while I wasn't originally going to play it, I've decided since that I am actually going to. So I will probably spend a fair bit of time playing that game as well, just because it is new. So yeah, that's what my plans are generally for next month. Hopefully you guys will tune in to hear what I have to say about the games that I've been playing then. Until next time, thank you for listening. This is JustJoosh, and as always, this is all just my opinion. Thank you all, and until next time, take care.